Okay, hello. Welcome to this video. My name is Rachel Weissman, and today in this video, we are going to talk a bit about the role of identity and the role of identity as it relates to growth and how different identities can accelerate growth and how different identities can actually prohibit your growth. And so a little bit about me, if you're new here, I'm an artist, executive coach, intuitive guide, keynote speaker. Have spent a long time working in tech, in big tech at Google and Salesforce, founding multiple startups, and am very much a bridge between creative spaces of art and design and creativity and consciousness and spirituality and business and leadership. So let's talk a little bit about identities. So as an identity is simply who, let me pause. I pulled up the definition from ChatGPT because it felt like it could be of benefit. Okay, so identity is the understanding of who someone or something is. The combination of qualities, experiences, beliefs, and roles that define a person or entity and distinguish them from others. So they also suggest some more nuanced terms. So a psychological definition of the internal sense of self, how a person perceives and defines themselves across time, encompassing personality, values, and self-concept. More social definition, the way an individual or group is recognized and situated within a broader community or culture, including affiliations. Or philosophical definition, the continuity of being, what makes a person or thing remain the same entity despite change. So, in essence, identity is both who we believe ourselves to be and how we are perceived and related to by others, shaped by both inner narrative and external context. And so that little bit about the inner narrative and external context is something to really start to think about. So when you think about the different identities that you carry, what are the stories that you share about how you show up, both that you are saying in your head, but also what's the external context that allows you to meet it? So there are a couple ways that we can start to think about identities and the way in which identities lead into growth or prohibit growth. So I'll share a personal story as an example in the way in which I've related to identities and how I've also seen this play out in client work as well. So for many years, I was eating vegan, and I realized, it was about 3 years, and I realized at maybe it was about halfway or so, I started to develop a vegan identity. And the way in which I noticed this identity come to fruition is, I'll move this a little closer. Okay, yeah, it's better. Okay, so I started to notice how these identities would come to fruition. And I want to say this so you can start to notice how different identities show up in your life. I started in language, the way in which you talk to yourself and the way in which you talk to others. So just like how in this definition, it was sharing both the inner narrative and the external context, a core way that you can begin to notice is through language. And so for me personally, I started to use language around I am vegan. So when you say I am and then put something, typically, or for example, I am a woman. I have an identity of being a woman. I am vegan. So by putting that, I started to develop this vegan identity. Over time, I realized that as my body actually wanted to start eating meat, the way in which my language really fed into this identity, and then how I showed up in external contexts, it kept feeding this I am this. I started to then find safety and pride in this. Well, okay, I am vegan. This is me. I started to develop this stronger sense of self. I started to be able to start to be seen from this lens of I am. In this case, I am vegan. I realized that this started to prohibit my growth. And actually, what my body was sharing with me was I really wanted to start to eat meat. That's what my body needed. But because of the language that I was using, it started to get really sticky and it blocked me from taking those necessary actions. And so I started to run an experiment. How could I change the language of how I relate to my actions, and how could that evolve the growth that I experienced? So very simply, there is a profound shift of, instead of I am vegan, I eat vegan. So what that does, it shifts the sense of identity of you are I. We can really dive into the profound nature of I am, and that truly is your true nature. And what that does, it provides more fluidity into the multifaceted nature of how you can show up. So I eat vegan. I play tennis. It's not I am tennis, or I am pickleball, or what have you. And so by having that verb between different facets of self, it allows identities that one carries not to feel as fixed. So this can allow your growth to be much more fluid. The core insight to watch out for is really making sure that from this place there isn't any passivity or any lack of ownership that one is missing from that place. And so let me give like another example to provide another frame. So with anything that I'm sharing, I'm sharing from my personal lived experience, but then also what I've learned from extensive coaching training and working with incredible clients, and in deep meditation and working with incredible teachers. Another insight, kind of looking at it in another way, is the positive nature that identities can provide to actually accelerate growth. And so this is done quite often in kind of visualization, manifestation types of, we'll say, activity, or ways of which to expedite your growth. So say you really were looking to achieve a certain goal, And by fully visualizing and landing into, we can do this together right now. So take a moment to really drop in and allow your body to land into this space and fully imagine something that you're really dreaming for, that you're really hoping for, that you know will happen, or you have some inkling that will happen, but it's not yet brought into your current reality. And so take a moment to really tune in. And when I say I am, whatever pops up in your awareness, really connect to what comes for you. So there are ways of which you can use. Let's give a tactical example. Many people right now, given how rapidly things are changing with technology and socially and everything in our external environment, many people are changing jobs. Many people are looking for new professions. And so say you worked in finance for a long time, or you were working in technology for a long time, or a health-related profession, what have you, and you're looking to shift into an entirely different profession. You can use this practice of I am fill in the blank. I'm a teacher. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a creator. I'm a musician. Whatever it may be, you can use that might have blocked. The example that I gave before is the role of identity and the way in which it can block growth. This other example is the role of identity and the way in which it can propel growth. Both are viable and can completely work, and can allow growth and can prohibit growth. The core facet of which that is really helpful to note is when an identity becomes sticky. And so the metaphor, or kind of the visual that I use with folks, is imagine an identity is, we'll go like this. Imagine an identity is like an open palm. Of course, there are certain identities that are more, we'll say, like sticky and provide more friction to shift. But for simplicity, let's call a career as an example. Many people strongly identify with their career. And in order to allow the true growth path for yourself to fully take fruition, in some people, they might have a very linear path. And I forgot the exact recent job stat, but where unlike people in previous generations where they would have one job throughout the same lifetime, now it is very common for people to have many different jobs throughout the course of their lifetime. And so what can really help provide more, it's like a stable ground amidst constant change, is holding the identity with an open palm. Holding the identity with an open palm. And so this really starts to welcome what you are beneath all the identities, beneath the career, beneath I am a mother, I am a sister, I'm a brother, I'm a father. Beneath all the career, beneath all the identities, what am I? And it allows you to more easily operate from that place. So that's it for today. If you have any questions or any comments or any perspectives of that, your role with identities and how it has catalyzed your growth or prohibited your growth, or anything that you really resonated with this video. I feel like it kind of had a slow start, but for those that made it to the end, I hope that it was of benefit to you. And if you're curious to double click on anything that I shared, yeah, please leave a comment below and subscribe for more videos. And I hope that you have a beautiful and blessed day.